It's never fun when one of your favorite perks is nerfed, and I am genuinely baffled at why Hope, of all perks, is being nerfed. For those unaware, the 9.2 PTB patch notes included a nerf to Hope, with it going from a 7% haste boost to only 5%. To try and help understand why Hope is being nerfed, we can start by going back in time to a few months ago, where there was a proposed change to remove haste stacking entirely for both Survivor and Killer. I was, and still am, against the removal of haste stacking, as I've personally never had a problem with haste stacking on either side, as I do enjoy the build variety haste stacking offers. Hell, I just recently went against a Legion that was flying at Mach speed, with NOED and batteries included. And while I was a bit shocked I couldn't make that window vault without being hit, that's just part of the thrill haste stacking brings. Shortly after the proposed change to remove haste stacking was introduced, it was then cancelled due to player feedback. However, I had a feeling that haste perks such as Hope weren't entirely safe from future changes. There's been a few adjustments to various haste perks over the last few patches, and now that my suspicions have come true with Hope receiving a nerf, I'm left wondering why this perk is being nerfed in the first place. I love using Hope, so I do feel inclined to explain why this perk is undeserving of a nerf. As a survivor, you are never guaranteed to make it to the endgame portion of a match. So if you load into a match with any endgame perks, you are essentially rolling the dice that you will make it to the endgame. On the flip side of this, as a killer, you are always guaranteed to make it to the endgame portion of a match. That is, unless you 4K before all the gens are completed, in which case you've already won, so that's kind of a pointless argument. But in short, if you select endgame perks as a killer, you're essentially guaranteed to get usage of them. And because a killer is able to plan an entire loadout around the endgame with guaranteed usage of any perks, there's high potential for snowballing a match from a 0k to a 4k. NOED, Blood Warden, No Way Out, and Remember Me is a popular combo, for example. The overall strength in the combo of these perks is especially scary on certain killers. In addition to all of this, for any endgame perks you select as a survivor, you basically have no perk slots during the main portion of a match. So you are arguably weaker as a survivor before you can even reach the endgame. To put it briefly, the payoff for selecting endgame perks as survivor must be worth the risk. This contrast between survivor and killer is why I firmly believe that survivor endgame perks should be strong enough to warrant being brought into a match, and thus exactly why even the slightest nerf to Hope makes zero sense. Truly, what is the goal in nerfing an endgame exclusive survivor haste perk by 2%? Is it to reduce the pick rate? Is it viewed as too strong of a haste perk? Is there data that shows the perk being associated with a high escape rate? Or maybe is this number tweak happening simply because the removal of haste stacking never went live and the powers that be feel the need to adjust haste perks to make it appear that haste is being balanced? Personally, I lean towards the latter as the core reason. And you know, from the killer perspective, I do understand if Hope is being viewed as a strong perk to some degree, because honestly, if you just hold W while using Hope, it makes it really easy sometimes to be able to escape, especially against killers that are strictly M1 killers and are not able to quickly catch up or somehow attack you from afar. And I do understand that Hope is probably maybe a little dumb at times with how fast it can stack with everything else, but I also still say it's the end game. Everything goes out the window at that point. Like if a killer wants to bring NOED, go ahead. That's totally fine. That's fair. It can be annoying sometimes if you're the one who gets, gets taken out because of NOED, but that's fair game. It's a perk in the game. You can use it. So I just believe if a survivor endgame perk is supposed to be worthy of being picked, it needs to be decent enough in the endgame to actually be worth the investment. Because if you can go the entire match without having that perk slot available, you essentially invested in that and you deserve to have something strong enough, not overpowered, but just something strong enough to have usage of it in the endgame. And I've just never viewed Hope as really that strong of a perk. Yes, it can make a big difference in a last second chase, but again, it's the end game. At that point, if you are killer and you've made it that far without getting that survivor killed, then that's kind of on you most of the time. So yeah, things happen, and sometimes, you get to the end game and survivors, whooped your ass. But if they have Hope, that's what they get. They didn't bring in another perk that they could have used during the main portion of the match, or even, things like adrenaline. Adrenaline's not really been used that often in recent years because it's kind of fallen off for other perks, and I wonder why, because there's just stronger perks you can use during the main portion of a match. Waiting to the end of the match to be able to use a perk that can maybe heal you now if you're on the hook, you can't use it, and it only gives you 3 seconds of sprint burst now. It's just one of those perks that's fallen off a little bit. It can still be strong, obviously, but it usually takes a lot of coordination to pull an adrenaline play off now. And for me personally as killer, I probably prefer if survivors bring endgame perks. Then that gives me a better chance during the main portion of the match to actually win. So I don't have to deal with as many annoying perks that are commonly complained about. So that's on me. If they make it to the endgame at that point after having exclusively endgame perks, they deserve to use those and most likely escape after that. Let me know your thoughts on this though. Is Hope deserving of a nerf? And also as an aside, if there's no way to stop Hope from being nerfed, can the same thing be done to something like Noed? For fairness at least? Just a thought. Alright, that's all I got for now, so thanks for watching.